welcome. You probably heard Liana Griffin, and will be your instructor for this duration of the 12 weeks together as we learn about instructional design. I love instructional designer, L&D. I can talk about this nonstop, but of course we only have 12 sessions together. So I had to really think, if I was going to teach somebody how to be a rock star instructional designer from start to finish, what were the 12 things that I would teach them, right? And I just threw it all in here. So this is everything that I think if you were going to be successful, this is what I would give you in 12 lessons.
Robert Ganet, he was actually an American educational psychologist. A lot of psychology going on with education, right? It's all about the brain. And they did a bunch of studies to understand the learning process. How do people learn? Ganet was really famous for his book that he wrote called The Conditions of Learning. It's an amazing book. It's super dry. Yeah, I know. When you hear the book, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that book. It's so dry, but it's a good book. I don't think I put it in here as a resource, but if you're all curious, it's a book to read at one point. And he came up with these 9 steps, these 9 events to help somebody condition themselves to learn better, right? And these conditions are based on information that he came across through his studies and his experiments. One of the old ways of doing instructional design, and I'm sure you've all been tortured through those trainings where it's like, at the end of this training, you're going to be able to do X, Y, and Z. And you know what? Nobody reads that. Nobody cares about the learning objectives. And I love this little joke about UIs. If you have to explain the UI, the user interface, it's not a good user interface, right? It's kind of like if you have to explain the joke, it's not a good joke. And it's kind of the same thing with training. If you have to tell them what they're learning, it's not a good training. They should just learn it, right? You shouldn't have to tell them. And maybe something that's better than like their learning objectives is maybe like, what's in it for them? Why do they even want to be here? What's the carrot for them in that behaviorism to get them excited about the topic? There's a lot of options to modality, and picking the right modality is really, I should have like a t-shirt that says target audience. It's based on your target audience, right? People are always like, Liana, if you had to create like one training, what would be the best training? Would it be online or would it be instructor led? And it would be all about the target audience. Well, who are they? Like, what's best for them? Because it's not about me. Our target audience is what it's all about.
A formative assessment is when you're checking for understanding, right? In an effective way while giving instruction. So you guys know how I do my little knowledge check slides. That would be a formative assessment. I'm testing you while we're in class, while things are underway. What's really great about formative assessments is a good class and a good instructor could pivot based upon that data, right? It's like, oh, wow, y'all are not getting it. We need to go back over this one more time. Let's review it a little bit more, right? Or, whoa, you guys got that super fast. Let's move a little quicker.
You want to make sure you have all the right players because your sprints and your development aren't going to be successful if you get 2 weeks in and you're like, oh, the main approver is not here, right? They don't have skin in the game. And this is so important too, because I think as an instructional designer, we have to also educate our stakeholders on what our role is and what value we bring, right? I cannot tell you how many times I've talked to stakeholders and they're like, but Liana, you know nothing about biotechnology. You know nothing about cloud computing. And I was like, I know, but you are the expert. I know everything about learning and development. And together, we're going to be a great team. Adobe Captivate is the one that I personally like. It's like Camtasia, but on steroids. It's a little much. And honestly, sometimes you don't need all that, right? You don't need all this muscle if you just don't need it. What I loved about Captivate is you're able to do a demonstration and a simulation at the same time. So you do your screen capturing and there's an export to do your demo. There's an export to do your simulation, which really saves time. There's also the ability to publish right to YouTube with Captivate, which I really loved. And then you're also able to adjust and change the audio within Captivate. So you don't have to go out into Audacity or some other audio visual audio modification tool. You could do it right in Captivate. You could reduce the white noise in the background. You can clip off some of the text, move it around, or some of the audio and move it around. It's really easy to do closed captioning. And it's really advanced. Last but not least, I was going to open it up an actual Captivate project, but all of my Captivate projects are so huge. I just did a little screenshot of one. This was a little fun get well exercise. What's really cool though is these can just be screenshots, right? Just PowerPoint slides that you put into a series, right? And you could see that we're starting here with the 1.1, we go to 1.2, based upon what they click, right? They will either get to this, they'll maybe come back down here and you can see this other spot, right? And this is just kind of giving the flow. Thank you for dialing in and participating. And do reach out if you have any questions or you need anything.